We have some big time roster decisions coming up in the next about 24 hours or so. Teams have to add players who are eligible for the Rule 5 draft to their 40-man roster or risk losing them in that draft. The deadline to add them is Tuesday, so tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central Time. Let's just get the first one out of the way here. Edouard Julien is an absolute lock. The Twins will be adding him to the 40-man roster. You know, that was true before his incredible Arizona Fall League, but now that he's performed so well, it's even more concrete. Let's go over some other names, though, that are going to be under consideration, because nobody else is a real lock. Starting with Matt Cantorino, one of the more talented players in the entire organization, I think. Just incredible pitches. He's just dominated when healthy. Unfortunately, that hasn't been all that often. He is unlikely to pitch all next year, but this is a guy worth, I think, hiding, a guy worth stashing while he's injured. Again, I think his pitches are just remarkable. I think he could be a dominant bullpen arm. I think with all these injuries he's had, I think kind of the starting rotation path has sailed. I think that's just going to be, it's just too far away now. You see here, he's 24 years old already. He's not going to pitch next year. But I still think this is a pretty special guy and somebody that the Twins don't want to lose. I don't think it's a slam dunk that he gets added, but I'm expecting him to be added to the 40-man. The next two guys are on the bubble for sure. No doubt about it. Again, Julien, the only guy at the lock. These two guys I'd love to see, to find a way for the Twins to keep them. But it's a little tough to envision. And I should add, right now, the Twins currently have 37 players on their 40-man roster. So they do have 3 spots open. Of course, there's always ways to open up spots later. And actually, there's going to be a lot of activity today and tomorrow leading up to this deadline of teams trying to maybe clear some guys that they probably know they're going to get drafted in the Rule 5 draft. So might as well trade them right now to teams that have space. Maybe these two guys are going to be coming up in those types of conversation. I'm not sure. But Misael Urbina and Junior Severino, a couple of guys that have gotten some pretty big, hefty bonuses signed out of Venezuela and the Dominican Republic, respectively. Urbina down in Fort Myers, the numbers aren't extraordinary, but this guy is a center fielder who's got quite a bit of athleticism, probably going to stick at that position. And again, a guy the Twins have really invested in. See there, he's still only 20 years old. So maybe if the Twins don't add him, they assume nobody's going to stick them on their major league roster, because anybody taken in the Rule 5 draft has to remain on the active MLB roster all season or be returned back to their original team. So that may be where the Twins think, you know, this guy's so far from the major leagues, he's so young, nobody's going to try to do that with him. With Junior Severino, he is much closer. He finished this year in Double-A. He is 23 years old, as you see there. Kind of one of the quieter performers, I think, in this system the past 2 years. He's played really well. He's missed some time over that stretch, but he's played really well when he's played. There you see there 19 home runs in just 302 at-bats, a 906 OPS. Guy who plays second and third. Kind of unfortunate for him that those are two positions that, I mean, those might be the least two positions that the Twins are looking for guys at right now, second base and third base, you know, depending on what they do with Gio Urshela in particular. But anyway, those are two more names, I think, toward the top of consideration. A couple of guys who, just to be honest, I think it would be really tough for the Twins to try to find room for. But two of the better performers in the organization last year, Anthony Prado and Cody Lawyerson, two of my favorites. You know, if you watch the channel, if you watch the minor league updates daily, you know I really got kind of caught up and swept up with these two guys this past year. Cody Lawyerson more in the second half, Anthony Prado more in the first half, and just really enjoy. You know, not only did these guys play well, but I just really enjoyed watching these two guys play. Which reminds me, if you're enjoying this video and these kind of deeper conversations, especially related to minor leaguers, prospects, please consider subscribing to the channel. We go way deep here on that stuff. Minor league highlights every day during the season. So definitely consider subscribing. And as you see, they played well as well. Anthony Prado with a 383 OBP, in addition to playing all over the field. Lawyerson with a 1.62 ERA on the year and a 0.98 whip. Just seemed to get better and better as the year went on. He was so much fun. Pitched a bit out of the bullpen, pitched a bit out of the rotation. was just a very key piece, Cody Lawyerson. A couple other guys to throw out there, some more pitching. You know, the Twins always looking for pitching. I think they'd love to keep these guys as well. Brent Hedrick, 24 years old, ended last year in Double-A. See there, the numbers are pretty impressive. 136 strikeouts and 108 in the third innings as a starting pitcher. Evan Sisk, you know, a guy who a lot of people were calling for to be called up last year, a left-hander, originally acquired from the Cardinals in the J. Happ trade. He has some pretty sparkling numbers last year. You see there, 1.57 ERA, 1.02 whip out of the bullpen. More of a lefty specialist. I think, you know, if we didn't have the loogie rules where there's the 3-batter minimum, we would have seen him last year. He's that devastating against lefties. I just don't know if they can if he can be a functional reliever against righties. I mean, he would be added. You know, they would have had him in the bullpen, I think, last year. So he would be a guy that it would sting to lose both these guys, really, with how much pitching the Twins need. A couple more guys who were in AAA last year that played really well. Chris Williams, you see there. He ended the year in AAA, 28 home runs on the season, though. He got really hot, was hitting crazy home runs there for a minute. 28 homers and 422 at-bats. Michael Hellman, another guy who played all over the place. His numbers don't stand out quite as much, but 20 homers, 40 stolen bases, and his success rate was tremendous. So a guy who can play all over the diamond and bring a lot of value on the base paths as well. You know, kind of envision either of these guys being intriguing bench options. Williams just as a right-handed masher off the bench, and Hellman as more of your traditional utility guy, pinch runner type guy. Again, don't see a path for them to get added, but you know, maybe those are two guys that teams will be looking at to draft. You know, pretty close to major league ready, basically being in AAA. Then another guy I want to mention was Steven Cruz. This is a guy who throws 99, 100. See there, the numbers aren't as good as you would hope for that, especially for a guy who pitched in Double-A for most of the year. You'd figure he'd just be blowing guys away down there. Just hasn't been there for him, but I think this is a guy who maybe his stats don't stick out as much, but that, you know, the scouting side, maybe that's like my biggest wild card. If the Twins added him, I would be like, you know what, hey, how many guys who throw 99 are floating around out there? But at the same, and on the other hand, if they don't protect him, I could see him getting drafted for the same reason. He has a special arm. If he can put it together, he could be a big leaguer for sure. And then Jair Camargo, we kind of did a general discussion around this about a month ago, and Camargo was one of the guys who I'd mentioned as sort of another guy who, you know, on the outskirts, but who just since he's a catcher who hit 18 home runs last year, might be under consideration. He has already become a minor league free agent. He's been a professional long enough to where he could do that. A guy who was originally acquired in the Kenta Maeda trade. Another one of the guys that I really enjoyed watching this year. Plays with a lot of flair. Very animated guy. Unfortunately, it looks like he is going to be elsewhere next season. So that's the rundown. What do you think? Do you agree with that? Cantorino is the big one. So let me know if you think the Twins should add Cantorino or not. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thanks to all the members of the channel. Here are the premium members. We will talk again soon.